Men aren't obsessed with women anymore, and it's weird. These men are more into themselves.
It's called feminism, my friend. You see, what happened was men did chase women and court and be a gentleman and do all the things that were required. After this whole past 3 years of this feminist propaganda, most men feel like it's not worth it. And I wouldn't doubt that you live in America. It is terrible in America right now. Most men are figuring out that they have more peace being by themselves than dealing with the headache. So they'd rather be by themselves, have their peace until they naturally meet somebody just as peaceful, or a woman gives them the reason to risk his peace with her if she's worth it. Men know their worth now. We knew our worth before. Couldn't tell you what happened. Yes, I could. Feminism.
I mean, women don't want to be wrong. They'd rather lie than be wrong. It's their nature. It's not a bad thing. I'm not dissing women. I love women, once again. And men and women are 50-50. I don't think one's higher. Ever. I know the facts, so I know it's true. Men and women are made to be puzzle pieces that fit together perfectly. I'll give you this example. Men, traditionally, we've said, men run from commitment. He won't marry me, all this, right?
Yep.
You never think of the flip side, do we? Women run from submittance. In relationships, let me say this. Men commit in relationships. A woman cannot commit in a relationship. I don't care. Oh, she won't commit. She broke her commitment. She broke her commitment. She never was committed, bro. They can't.
It's because women control sex, men control the relationship.
Women
that's why men propose.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Men commit, when a man commits to a relationship or a marriage with a woman, he does that in thoughts that it is forever. When a woman submits, she does that in thoughts that this is fucking awesome. And he's awesome, and I love this, and I'm getting what I want. As soon as that stops, she's like, I'm not happy, and she fucking leaves. She will tear your whole family and legacy apart, bro. And we know this is a fact. These are facts.
Women can't handle rejection. I've witnessed situations where men break up with or reject women, and the immediate response is often to label the man as gay or belittle his masculinity by commenting on the size of his genitalia. The difference between how men and women handle rejection is that women typically have more social support for these types of negative experiences. Men, on the other hand, are often expected to simply deal with it, and any negative reaction from them is seen as a failure to handle rejection properly. Personally, I had to keep my feelings to myself and suffer silently, fearing ridicule from both men and women. When I rejected women, my approach was mostly to not pay attention to them at all. I didn't want to give them the wrong impression by looking at them or risk accusations of harassment by being accidentally nice to someone. However, the more I ignored some women, the more hostile they became towards me. They would enlist older women to shame me and other men to harass me, all in an attempt to make me more cooperative with the women. Male and female managers even resorted to giving me ultimatums to scare me into obedience once they noticed I was avoiding female coworkers. This led to experiences of shame, ridicule, slander, mockery, vandalism, theft, gaslighting, isolation, a lack of help, and even worse. It's disheartening to say, but some women would tear me down with insults. Some would observe me from a distance, assessing my emotional state, and report it to either the first or latter group. The latter group of women would employ love-bombing techniques to manipulate me into compliant behavior. If I continued to ignore them, they would all display expressions of shock and sadness. Many women harbor resentment towards men who refuse to enter into relationships. They struggle to cope with the sight of a man rejecting all women. Men face rejection throughout their lives. It's ingrained in their upbringing and becomes a familiar part of their pursuit of a partner. From a young age, men are conditioned to handle rejection, and it continues to affect them throughout their lives. Women, on the other hand, generally do not experience rejection on a comparable scale. Therefore, men become more adept at handling rejection due to their repeated exposure to it. A friend once asked me why women can't handle rejection and often try to hurt the person who rejects them. Well, the answer lies in the fact that many women exhibit narcissistic and entitled behaviors. They are accustomed to getting things their way. Society consistently portrays women as victims and men as aggressors, despite the often flawed nature of such assumptions. When a guy faces rejection from a woman, he is expected to swiftly recover and move on. Any sign of emotional discomfort or self-pity from a man, and he will be promptly told by friends, coworkers, and family to quickly gather himself and move on. However, when rejection befalls a woman, a completely different dynamic emerges. Firstly, most women don't experience direct or overt rejections like men do, such as walking up to a woman in a pub and asking her out. For women, rejection tends to be much more subtle and less easily identifiable. It could mean that the guy they are interested in stops paying attention to them or ceases to walk home with them. These subtle shifts often go unnoticed by most people, but women tend to take them quite hard. If a woman is narcissistic, she might resort to covert forms of revenge that fly under the radar of most individuals. This is precisely what happened to a friend of mine. The woman he rejected launched a months-long campaign against him at his workplace, attempting to turn everyone against him and tarnish his reputation. Women are often perceived as the gatekeepers of relationships and intimacy, an idea perpetuated by certain toxic males and feminists. It's rather amusing how some people believe that women hold all the cards and can never be rejected. They are often referred to as the masters of the game, although this perception may not be entirely accurate. Let's not forget the role played by weak men and certain strains of feminism in shaping this perception. Somehow, they have managed to convince us that women are entitled to all the best things life has to offer. Picture this. I'm peacefully going about my own business in a public setting when out of nowhere, a random woman, who I would rate as a 6 out of 10, approaches me and confesses her interest. However, I politely decline, and what unfolds next is quite astonishing. Suddenly, I find myself magically transformed into a gay man, a body shamer, and a misogynist, all in a single moment. It's as if an imaginary wall materializes where a woman encounters rejection. Believe it or not, this supposed war is allegedly constructed by none other than men themselves, who consider themselves better or superior. Its sole purpose is to shield the fragile emotions of women from any potential harm. You see, these women firmly believe that feeling bad about themselves is simply not an option for them. In their minds, they are perfect beings who deserve nothing but the best at all times. But here's the intriguing part. If you happen to utter the simple word no to one of these women, brace yourself for a spectacle. All of a sudden, she unleashes a torrent of verbal attacks upon you, right there in public. It's almost as if rejecting women is considered a grave sin of the utmost severity. Now, let's take a moment to talk about us men. We are all too familiar with rejection. It seems to happen almost every day. But how do we respond to such adversity? We retreat, disappearing into thin air for a solid 6 months. We refer to it as monk mode, because why not? During this self-imposed exile, we focus on ourselves. We hit the gym, concentrate on our businesses, savor delicious cuisine, and strive for success in all aspects of life. Only then, if we so desire, do we dare to re-enter the treacherous realm of dating, hoping to find some form of companionship. Now, here's a golden piece of advice. Should a woman have the audacity to approach you in a public space, listen closely and run. Yes, you heard me right. Run. Why risk jeopardizing everything you have worked so hard for in a mere 30-second conversation? Besides, you weren't even attracted to her in the first place, so why bother? Remember the wise words of the police, my friend. Anything you say or do can and will be used against you in the court of law. Save yourself the trouble and steer clear.